What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about another film that I wanted to watch for the month of October. As I said at the beginning of the month, I wanted to cover a wide array of films between some classics that I wanted to revisit, some films that I'd never seen before. And the movie today is definitely a nostalgia pick for me. This is actually a Disney Channel original movie, and one of the reasons why I wanted to revisit it is because this movie was very comforting to me as a kid. And sometimes amidst watching serious, gritty horror films or just serious films in general, I like to visit movies from my youth to see how they resonate with me as an adult. And this film in particular, I probably haven't seen it since I was a kid. I would say probably around the time of its release to a couple of years after, whenever it would replay on the Disney Channel. But in my adult life, I have never sat down and revisited this movie, and it did bring me a lot of comfort as a child, and I'm excited to discuss it with you today. And the film I'm going to be talking about is Halloweentown. Halloweentown is directed by Duwayne Dunham. On her 13th birthday, Marnie learns she's a witch, discovers a secret portal, and is transported to Halloweentown, a magical place where ghosts and ghouls, witches and werewolves live apart from the human world. But she soon finds herself battling wicked warlocks, evil curses, and endless surprises. So, as I said, I have not seen this movie since I was a young kid, and this was a film that I used to revisit quite a bit. Probably one of my earlier introductions into, like, I don't really want to say horror because it's not like it's a straightforward horror film, but like Halloween, spooky season adjacent films that get you excited more for the horror genre. And I think I appreciate this film a lot more for nostalgia over quality because it's not a good movie. I mean, the dialogue in this is absolutely horrible. The cinematography is really cheap because obviously it was made for Disney Channel, so the budget wasn't super huge. There's some cool designs with some of the characters in Halloweentown and the practicality of their look. I think that the villain looks really great in this for a Disney Channel original film, but it's definitely not a quality movie by any means, and I'll break it down a little more when I pick the film apart. Beginning of the film, we're introduced to Marnie, played by Kimberly J Brown, and she lives at home with her brother Dylan, her sister Sophie, and her mother. And on Halloween, all the kids are out trick-or-treating, they're having a good time, and those three kids are in their house. They don't get to dress up, they don't get to celebrate Halloween. Their mom is very anti the holiday, and they're staring outside watching these kids go by, and all of a sudden Grandma pulls up, played by Debbie Reynolds, who is actually probably the strongest performance in this film. I think she's just, having a lot of fun in this movie. She's very whimsical, she's very charming. I really like her character a lot. And so she gets off this bus, comes into the house. She has this magic bag that she's giving things to the kids. They're all very excited. You can tell the mother's really irritated by it. And Marnie, Kimberly J Brown's character, says, "I hope the two of you don't fight again." And so the whole night they spend time together, and finally the mother says, "Hey, it's time for you guys to go to bed. Your grandmother needs to leave." And so she ends up taking off, and the kids follow her outside and find out that she gets on this bus. They follow her onto the bus, and they're transported to Halloweentown. It's implied early on that Grandma is a witch. You can just tell all the powers that she has, and she tells a bedtime story to Marnie and the other kids, essentially saying that she has powers too, kind of alluding to it. And so she follows her there to try to figure out if that's the truth. And they get to Halloweentown, and something is going on in the town. People are disappearing, something is happening. And Marnie wants to embrace her powers as a witch, learn from her grandma to help her fight whatever this evil entity is. What I'll say about this movie is I think the beginning of the film, the first 20 minutes, is a heck of a lot stronger than the way that the film ends. I think the build up to the world and kind of giving you an idea as to what it's like and to building the lore around it, and the first introduction to the characters in the town of Halloweentown. I love all that build-up. I think that for this movie, it does a nice job getting you invested and excited for the film. The problem with this movie, the biggest issue, is that as far as a narrative, the entire crux of what the suspense is in the film and the issues that are occurring in the film, it's all very rushed. It's kind of like, here's something, here's something, here's something, so that there can actually be a plot to string this thing along to get to the very end of the movie. And I think that's the biggest issue I had with it watching it this time, is like the ending just feels like you're going scene by scene by scene to just wrap it up as quickly as possible, where they've built this world up and they've made it sound really interesting, and there's all these characters and there's so much they could have done with it, but instead it's like, here's the most base level simplistic plot. And obviously it's a film for kids, so they want to keep it relatively simple, but there's also humor in this that I feel like is probably over kids' heads as well. Like, it's always funny to watch Disney films from this era and see the kind of jokes that they would tell for films that are supposed to be for kids. It's kind of funny because I feel like the landscape of that now is way different. People probably wouldn't try to push it as far as a lot of times like Disney and Nickelodeon did in my era when I was growing up. So there's things about that I appreciate, but it is a Disney Channel original movie. A lot of the dialogue is hokey. Not all the performances are that great. The editing in this thing and the cinematography is really choppy, to the point where I'm just scratching my head like, who in the world edited and shot this film just in the cheapest way possible? But I do appreciate the practical effects. I think that the masks and the way that the characters are designed, it's cute and it's fun to watch. And I do think there's a level of charm to the film and these characters. It's obviously a movie that even over the years when people have grown up, that they've revisited it and still really enjoyed it. And I think like this is going to be a movie that if you were a part of it when you were growing up and it was like a part of your life as a kid, you can probably get something out of it. But if you watch it now as an adult and you're just trying to look for like a Halloween-centric film, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of it, just because of how cheap it is and how poor the dialogue is. I feel like it'd be hard for someone who's never seen this before, never be exposed to it, that's in my age group, to watch it and be like, wow, that was really great. Yeah, I'm not upset I revisited it, because it did bring up a lot of nostalgia for me surrounding my youth, but I probably wouldn't revisit this anytime in the near future. There's a lot better out there. Have you seen Halloweentown? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I didn't think this movie was good at all. I feel like I had a lot more attachment to the nostalgia of it as a kid. There were a couple moments that were charming for me, but I probably wouldn't revisit this one anytime in the near future. I'll just remember the nostalgia from my youth. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.